I went there with some ideas that just didn't sit well with me about what we were doing there, but I wanted to contribute. When I got there, however, serving in the East and in the South, the similarities were the same. What I found, we were fighting people who were fighting us only because we're occupying them.
They told us, in a crowded area, if one person shoots at you, kill everybody. You cannot meet someone in Iraq who has not lost a family member. Could you imagine what we had done in America if in 9/11 everybody in America lost a family member? What would we be doing? Would we be talking about war? No, we'd be in the streets with weapons. And so people talk about, oh, these people killing American soldiers in Iraq, they're terrorists. Not terrorists, they're wearing sandals. And they got an AK. And they got 14-year-old boys building bombs to kill these American soldiers because we've killed their family.
If you feel threatened by anybody, you're able to engage that person. Many soldiers felt threatened just by the fact that you were looking at them. So they fired their weapons at anybody who was looking at them because I felt threatened. We were told that if we were to fire our weapons at people and we were to be investigated, officers would take care of you. We were given orders for 360-degree rotational fire whenever we were hit with an IED. We were told by our battalion commander to kill every motherfucker on the street. Many soldiers would not do that. We decided that we were going to shoot into the rooftop of buildings because if you didn't fire, the NCOs in your platoon would make your life hell. This happens on a daily basis. I've watched it with Bradleys destroying vans full of children who were in the way when an IED went off. The destruction of the Iraqi people happens on a daily basis. People just going to the markets, people just going to work, children playing in their front yards.
The Iraqi civilians bear the brunt of the violence in Iraq, and as a result of the U.S. occupation, they suffer greatly. During my tour in Iraq, my unit opened fire regularly on unarmed civilians while we conducted convoy operations. My unit opened fire indiscriminately on a building where we knew civilians to be inhabiting.
And what we would do is just kick in the doors and terrorize the families.
We knocked down doors, dumped drawers out, pushed furniture over, broke windows, and generally trashed the homes we went.
I saw that there was a minivan, and the cries appeared to be coming from it. Myself and another soldier, a 20-year-old private, walked up to the passenger side van and looked inside. The private that I was with reeled back, began to vomit, and quickly ran away. What I saw when I looked in the van was a small girl about 4 years old on the passenger side of the bench seat. She had a severe belly wound and was covered in glass.
Roger, we need a evac this child. She's got a wound in the belly.
The glass was in her hair and also in her eyes. Next to her, half on the floorboard, with his head resting on the seat, was a boy about 7 years old. He wasn't moving, and from the severe wound to the right side of his head, my first thought was that he was dead. In the driver's seat was who I immediately concluded must have been these children's father by the way he was hunched over the children in a protective manner.
Violent situations were used on unsuspecting civilians because there were no rules, and this was perpetrated by squad leaders and platoon sergeants, and if anyone's going to charge you with anything, it's going to be them, and if they're doing it, then you know you can get away with it, and it happens. It happened all the time.
It's almost impossible to act on your morality in a situation like that when you have been fed all this information that, you know, these people are out there to kill you, and what you do is you basically remove the humanity from them to make it easier to oppress them, to brutalize them, to beat them, and in doing so you remove the humanity from yourself because you cannot act as a human being and do all of.
You know, electricity was intermittent, and he was out there trying to work on his farm, work on a pump or something. They told him to halt and stop. He panicked and ran. They opened fire, and they killed this individual. The next day, Civil Affairs came and spoke with us, and said, as a company, and said, we are not going to pay any benefit to this family. They also informed us that his brother was a close ally of us, had up until this time had been working with us, and was a respected leader of the local community, and that this individual that we killed also had 14 children. The civil affairs officer suggested that we take up a collection and donate $1 or $2 apiece to the family, and that he thought that that would go a long way in helping to ease the family's suffering. There's 125 members of a rifle company, roughly, so you're talking about anywhere probably between $125 and $150. In reality, I don't think anyone donated any money. And finally, just to wrap things up, I want to take this time to apologize to the Iraqi people for the things that you know, I helped to do, and the actions that people in my unit and myself did while I was there. Thank you.
When are we going to realize the people fighting in Iraq against us, they're not terrorists, they're soldiers. What would we do if somebody invaded us? I know I would pick up my weapon and fight against them. What the hell we call them? Terrorists? These people want their country back. Let's give them their country back. It's that simple.
If you could talk to the soldier who shot you, what would you say to him right now? Just go ahead and pretend he's here and tell him.
I say, why did you shoot me? That's not true. I did not do anything. I just had my jaw, held it in my hand. I say, why you shoot me? I'm a girl. I'm brutal, but why you shoot me?
But while on these convoys, I saw Marines defecate into MRE bags and throw them at children on the side of the road, urinate into bottles, throw them at children on the side of the road. While stopped, take out their MRE bag, remove the chemical packaging that is activated by water, activated by moisture. This is what Marines use, all service members with MREs use to heat their MREs, is a moisture-activated chemical heater. They would remove the chemical heater from the warning package that said "Do not eat," with a symbol of a person and a X sign through them saying, you know, "Do not eat this." And they would give that to Iraqi children to see the responses on their face.
They rolled over the front wall of the house, destroyed the vehicle that was inside, and upon entry to the house, I was second in the stack of formation of troops that went through the gate. There was an older female who was in the courtyard by this time, and she was screaming something unintelligible in Arabic. I didn't see her as a threat, so I continued on past her into the building itself. One of the soldiers behind me apparently thought that she was a threat, butt stroked her in the face, knocked her to the ground, and someone after him apparently zip-tied her and took her out into the front yard. Then we proceeded to ransack this house. I was in the master bedroom. There was dressers and wardrobes. Wardrobes were locked. We pulled the doors off. We turned everything in the room upside down. We went through everything. Personnel in my unit that were in the kitchen turned the refrigerator upside down. Pulled the stove, actually broke the stove, pulled it out of the wall, broke the line to it. After we searched through the house, we had everyone, including the children, zip-tied on the front lawn. Apparently, someone in my chain of command realized that we had the wrong home.
One of the guys in the weapons company had gotten shot. This is a way that we would take out our aggression. For those of you who don't know, it is illegal to shoot into a mosque unless you were taking fire from it. There was no fire that was taken from that mosque. It was shot into because we were angry. This is happening, and that until people hear about what is going on with this war, it will continue to happen and people will continue to die. I'm sorry for the things that I did. I am no longer the monster that I once was.
Judging from what I saw on the ground, I am willing to swear under oath in all honesty that while many enemy combatants were in fact killed, the majority of those so-called KIAs were in fact civilians attempting to flee the battlefield.
A young machine gunner made the split-second decision that that vehicle was a threat, and in less than a minute put 200 rounds from his .50 caliber machine gun into that vehicle. That day he killed a mother, a father, and 2 children. The boy was age 4 and the daughter was age 3. I was in the briefing that evening when it was briefed to the general. And after the officer in charge briefed it to the general in a very calm manner, Colonel Rochelle of the 42nd Infantry Division, DISCOM commander, turned in his chair to the entire division level staff and he said, and I quote, "If these fucking Hajis learned to drive, this shit wouldn't happen." I looked around the TOC at the other officers, at the other enlisted men, mostly higher enlisted. As a sergeant, I think I was the lowest ranking person in that room. And I didn't see one dissenting body language, one disagreeing head nod. Everyone was in agreement that it's true. If these effing Hajis learned to drive, this S wouldn't happen. I couldn't believe it, but it was true. That stayed with me the rest of my tour. I looked around every time that word Haji was used, and I thought about that soldier who will carry that with him for the rest of his life, and I thought about the 4 Iraqis whose bloodline was ended on that day. And Colonel Rochelle could not think of any of that, but only his own racism and dehumanization that has started at the commander-in-chief of this war and worked its way down the entire chain of command.
Poor and working people in this country are sent to kill poor and working people in another country to make the rich richer. And without racism, soldiers would realize that they have more in common with the Iraqi people than they do with the billionaires who send us to war. We need to wake up and realize that our real enemies are not in some distant land. They're not people whose names we don't know and cultures we don't understand. The enemy is people we know very well and people we can identify. The enemy is a system that wages war when it's profitable. The enemy is the CEOs who lay us off from our jobs when it's profitable. It's the insurance companies who deny us health care when it's profitable. It's the banks who take away our homes when it's profitable. Our enemy is not 5,000 miles away. They are right here at home. And if we organize and fight with our sisters and brothers, we can stop this war, we can stop this government, and we can create a better world.